Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Alright, let's dive into Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, or as some of you might still call it, the new Yakuza game, but let's be real, this ain't your granddad's Yakuza. So, right off the bat, this one feels like the series is stepping out in a whole new direction, but it's still got that same heart that makes it feel like, yeah, this is exactly what you'd expect in the best way possible. The story, it's wild, emotional, and, let's be honest, sometimes just plain bonkers. You've got Ichiban Kasuga back in action, still rocking that ridiculous hairdo, and now he's in the US, trying to make sense of, well, pretty much everything. Dude goes from being broke and beat up to chasing the American dream, but it's still got that same fish out of water vibe that made Ichiban so endearing in the first place. Gameplay wise, they're sticking with the turn-based combat they introduced in Yakuza Like a Dragon. At first it might feel like a weird fit. I mean, this is a series that's known for letting you smack people around with bicycles, traffic cones, and like random carp, but somehow they make it work. You've still got all that over the top, slapstick humor, and insane moves. I'm talking summoning crayfish for an attack or calling in a backup team of breakdancers. And somehow they're managing to balance it all with a deep strategic system that actually makes you think a bit before you start swinging a traffic sign like a madman. But let's talk about the world. Infinite Wealth is taking the series to a new playground Hawaii. It's kind of genius really, because it's still got that sense of familiarity with the neon lit streets and sketchy alleyways, but now we're dealing with palm trees, beaches, and tourist traps. You know, RGG Studio isn't just gonna give us a postcard version of Hawaii, nah, they're gonna show us the gritty underbelly, where gangs rule the streets, and there's a whole bunch of quirky side quests waiting for you around every corner. Oh, and speaking of side quests, man, this game is packed with them. And if you've ever played a Yakuza game, you know this is where they really let their creativity fly. Whether you're helping an aspiring influencer become the next big thing, or competing in a high-stakes game of underwater mahjong, there's no shortage of things to do. It's that blend of heartfelt and ridiculous that the series is known for. One moment you're crying over a touching story about a guy who lost everything, and the next, you're fist fighting a guy dressed up like a chicken because, well, just because. The character development is as rich as ever. Ichiban feels like the new Kazuma Kiryu, but with his own unique flavor. He's got that same sense of honor, but he's more naive, more of a dreamer, more willing to throw himself into the most absurd situations just to help someone out. The cast around him is just as eclectic. You've got your old friends from the previous game, but there's also a whole bunch of new faces, each with their own quirks and stories. And the bond system, it's back, baby. You're gonna spend hours getting to know your crew, drinking at bars, singing karaoke, and doing everything in your power to boost those friendship levels. Graphically, the game looks amazing, but I won't go on about that too much. It's got the glitzy nightscapes, the flashy fight animations, and the level of detail that makes the city feel alive, but it's not trying to wow you with just graphics. It's about the little things like the way characters interact, the expressions on their faces during those intimate conversations, or how the game seamlessly switches from a heavy, dramatic cutscene to a ridiculous dance-off with zero shame. It's charming, and it's got that only in a Yakuza game vibe, you know? And we gotta talk about the minigames, because oh boy, they're back and they're better than ever. You've got the return of series staples like karaoke and batting cages, but they've also introduced some new craziness. There's a full-on fishing mode that's deeper than some actual fishing games, and you can run your own surf shop now, dealing with inventory, customer satisfaction, and of course fending off your rivals. And if you're into the business management side of things, the economic simulator that lets you buy, sell, and negotiate your way to the top is basically a game within a game. Now, let's not pretend this game doesn't have its quirks. The pacing can be a bit uneven. 1 minute you're deep in a story mission, and the next you're trapped in an absurd side quest for an hour, because you just had to help a lost dog find its owner. But honestly, that's kind of the charm of it. The game doesn't rush you, it lets you soak in all its weirdness and heart. So yeah, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is shaping up to be another banger in the series. It's bigger, it's bolder, and it's not afraid to take risks. It's still got that perfect mix of drama, comedy, action and just downright weirdness that makes you think, only in a Yakuza game, man. Only in a Yakuza game. So if you've got a taste for the ridiculous mixed with a heavy dose of heartfelt storytelling and you're ready to explore the underbelly of Hawaii with Ichiban and his crew, then get ready, because this game is gonna take you on a ride. But hey, if you've played it, let me know, are you digging this new direction, or do you miss the days of classic brawler Yakuza? Persona 3 Reload.
Come, Persona!
Alright, let's talk about Persona 3 Reload, and if you've been around the block in the JRPG scene, you know this one is big. We're talking about a game that kind of set the stage for everything Persona would become, but now it's getting the glow up it always deserved. So what's the deal with Persona 3 Reload? Imagine taking a classic PS2 gem, throwing it into a time machine, and sending it straight into the future, and I'm not just talking about a simple, let's add some HD textures kind of thing. Nah, this is a full-on remake built from the ground up with new visuals, updated mechanics, and a few surprises that even old school fans won't see coming, but it's still got that dark, moody atmosphere and emotional weight that made the original so unforgettable. Let's get into the basics first. You're a high school kid who's just transferred to Gekukan High School, and surprise, you find yourself smack dab in the middle of some bizarre supernatural shenanigans. Every night when the clock strikes midnight, a hidden hour known as the Dark Hour creeps in, turning the whole town into this eerie, green-tinted nightmare filled with creatures called shadows. And who's gonna take care of that mess? Yep, you and your crew, the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, or C's for short, are here to save the day, battling these shadows with your personas, which are kinda like your own inner demons, but cooler. Now, if you're a fan of the series, you know that Persona 3 was the one that really put the social simulation aspect on the map, and in Persona 3 Reload, this part of the game is getting a fresh coat of paint. You're juggling school life, hanging out with friends, building relationships, acing your exams, and then boom, you're jumping into a massive, ever-shifting tower called Tartarus to fight monsters and unlock its secrets. It's got that classic blend of social life and dungeon crawling that feels oddly balanced. One minute you're stressing about choosing the right dialogue option to get closer to your crush, and the next you're fusing personas in a way that would make a Pokemon professor blush.
Not giving up, no matter how long it takes. To me.
The original game had some janky mechanics, let's not lie, but Reload is coming in hot with a lot of cool improvements. The combat system is more in line with what we saw in Persona 5, which means faster, snappier battles, a greater focus on strategy, and more ways to exploit enemy weaknesses for those sweet all-out attacks. The party AI is way more intelligent this time around, and you actually get to control your teammates directly instead of relying on their sometimes questionable judgment. Trust me, anyone who played the original knows the pain of an AI Yukari casting the wrong spell at the worst possible moment. And can we talk about the visuals for a sec? The game looks absolutely stunning. They've taken that distinct style from Persona 5, with all its flashy menus, stylish animations, and vibrant character designs, and merged it with the darker, more somber tones of Persona 3. The city of Iwatadai feels more alive and atmospheric than ever. Every corner is dripping with that something's not quite right here vibe, and the character models and facial animations are way more expressive, which is gonna make all those emotional scenes hit even harder. And the music, oh man, the music. Persona 3's soundtrack was already iconic with tracks like Burn My Dread and Mass Destruction, but they're recording some of the songs and adding new ones. That signature Shoji Meguro mix of rock, jazz, and hip-hop, but with a modern twist that'll get stuck in your head for days. But here's the thing, Persona 3 isn't just about the cool aesthetic and snazzy combat. It's got a story that cuts deep. This game isn't afraid to get dark. It's dealing with some heavy stuff: death, loneliness, finding meaning in life, and the inevitability of our own mortality. Yeah, it's a game where you're playing as a bunch of high schoolers, but these kids are grappling with some existential crises that most adults would rather not think about. And it's not just the main storyline, the social links, which are basically the game's way of saying, go make some friends, are filled with these personal, heartfelt stories that add so much depth to the world and the people in it. What's got me really really excited though is that they're hinting at some new content too. New events, more dialogue, maybe even some brand new social links or expanded storylines. The original Persona 3 had some content locked behind different versions Persona 3 FES, anyone, but Reload is looking like it's aiming to be the definitive edition, merging everything we loved about the game into one polished package. And they're not just copying and pasting here, they're giving this game the love and attention it deserves. There's been some chatter about the absence of the female protagonist from Persona 3 Portable, and yeah, that's kind of a bummer because her route brought a whole different perspective to the story. But even with that, it feels like they're pouring their heart into making sure this remake stands out on its own. If you're new to the series, Persona 3 Reload is your golden ticket to experience one of the most influential RPGs out there with a fresh twist. And if you're a veteran, well, it's time to head back to the Dark Hour and see how it's been reimagined. Dust off that evoker, get ready to face your inner demons, and maybe, just maybe, save the world while you're at it. Plague Tale Requiem. Alright, let's get into the haunting world of Plague Tale Requiem. If you haven't played the first one, A Plague Tale Innocence. Here's the quick catch up. It was one of those surprise hits that came out of nowhere, and it absolutely delivered with its gripping story, stunning visuals, and a whole lot of rats. Like seriously, so many rats. Now, Requiem takes everything that was good about the original and cranks it up to 11. We're back with our girl Amisha and her little brother Hugo, who have been through hell in back medieval France, a plague of biblical proportions, and a whole mess of Inquisition soldiers, and guess what? It doesn't get any easier for them in this sequel. If you thought the first game was a roller coaster of tension and emotion, buckle up because Requiem goes even deeper. This time around, the stakes are higher, the world is bigger, and the story is even more intense. Amisha and Hugo are on the run, searching for a place they can call home, somewhere far away from the nightmares that keep chasing them. But surprise, surprise, the curse that haunts Hugo isn't letting go so easily. The supernatural side of things is ramping up in ways that are pretty mind-blowing, but still grounded in this gritty, raw portrayal of medieval life. The whole vibe is darker, and there's a new level of desperation in the air. You feel it in every step Amisha takes, every furtive glance over her shoulder.
What's happening to me, Lucas? I feel my mind.
Let's talk gameplay for a second. The first game was all about stealth and survival, using your wits to avoid detection and making sure you weren't caught in the jaws of the rat swarms. And that's still a huge part of Requiem, but now they've layered on some new mechanics that give you more ways to handle threats. Amisha's not the same scared girl she was before. She's a seasoned survivor now. You've got more tools in your arsenal, from crossbows to alchemy, and the combat is way more dynamic. You can fight back a little more, you've got more options to outsmart your enemies, and let's be real, you feel a little more badass sneaking around with all these new tricks up your sleeve. But what really gets me about this game is how it looks. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. The environments are jaw-dropping, like screenshot every 5 minutes kind of pretty. You've got sweeping vistas, dense forests, crumbling ruins, and eerie villages, all drenched in atmosphere. The attention to detail is insane. You can almost feel the mud under your feet and smell the damp, decaying wood, and the lighting. Don't even get me started. They've dialed it up to make the game feel like this living, breathing painting that's constantly on the edge of breaking apart. It's beautiful, but in that dark, haunting way that makes you feel like something's just lurking around the corner. And oh, the rats are back, and they're somehow even more terrifying this time. We're talking oceans of rats that move like a living wave, devouring everything in their path. They've upped the ante on how these swarms behave, making them more aggressive, more unpredictable, and they're not just there to give you the creeps, they're woven into the gameplay in even more creative ways. You'll be using them to your advantage, or trying to avoid them altogether, and the game constantly throws new scenarios at you to keep things fresh. But at the core of all this, it's still a story about two kids trying to find some semblance of peace in a world that's hell-bent on tearing them apart. Amisha's relationship with Hugo is the beating heart of the game. You feel every bit of her determination, her fear, her desperation to protect her little brother even when it seems impossible. And Hugo, he's still just a kid, but he's got this dark power growing inside him that he's struggling to control. The dynamic between them is filled with tension, tenderness, and moments that'll just rip your heart out. And look, look, if you're in this for the feels, Requiem is gonna hit hard. There are moments in this game that will straight up make you pause and just breathe. It's got this way of getting under your skin, of making you care about these characters in a way that few games manage to do. And it's not just Amisha and Hugo. The supporting cast gets more depth, more screen time, and the new characters that come into their lives add layers to the narrative that'll keep you hooked. It's not a game for the faint-hearted. It gets dark, it gets heavy, and it doesn't hold your hand. But if you're up for the challenge, if you want a game that's gonna pull you into its world and make you feel every moment, every bit of fear, hope, and sorrow, then A Plague Tale Requiem is absolutely worth your time. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Alright, so here's the deal with the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. This one brings together two of the best adventure games out there, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and Uncharted The Lost Legacy, all polished up for the PS5. Now, if you've never played these games before, you're in for a real treat. Think of it like Indiana Jones meets Mission Impossible, with some of the most ridiculous action set pieces and some genuinely heartfelt storytelling. But let's not pretend this collection is reinventing the wheel or anything. It's still very much the same games that came out a few years back, just with a shiny new coat of paint. They look stunning, don't get me wrong, the graphics are sharper, and those 60 frames per second are buttery smooth, but if you've already played them on the PS4, the upgrade might not be enough to warrant a full replay, unless you're a diehard fan. What makes these games special though isn't just the visual upgrade, it's that classic Naughty Dog magic. Nathan Drake's last hurrah in A Thief's End is packed with everything you'd expect: breathtaking vistas, witty banter, and those how the hell am I still alive moments. And then there's The Lost Legacy, where Chloe Fraser and Nadine Ross step up and take center stage, proving the series doesn't need Nate to be great. Both games still hold up, thanks to the solid mix of exploration, puzzle solving, and cinematic gunfights. But here's the kicker: Uncharted has always been about spectacle, right? Those jaw-dropping moments where you're scrambling up a cliff as it crumbles into the sea, or driving a jeep through a war-torn city. And that's where the PS5 really shines, making those set pieces feel more dynamic and intense. Now, is this collection a must-buy? Maybe. If you're new to Uncharted, it's a no-brainer. You get to experience two fantastic games looking better than ever. If you've already been through these adventures, it's more of a nice-to-have, not a need-to-have. But hey, any excuse to swing around on a grappling hook and trade quips with Sully is a good one, right?
And some guns. And some guns. Sorry, mate.
Ghost of Tsushima. Alright, let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima. This one, man, it's like stepping into a moving painting of feudal Japan, but with way more sword fights and fewer tea ceremonies. Right off the bat, it's all about atmosphere. This game has this way of just sucking you into its world: the swaying grass, the cherry blossoms floating in the wind, the distant sounds of battle. It's like you can almost smell the rain or feel the sting of the ocean spray on your face. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai caught between honor and survival after a brutal Mongol invasion leaves his home in ruins. And let me tell you, the story here is surprisingly deep. It's got layers like a good piece of sushi. It's not just about saving the island, it's about what you're willing to sacrifice to do it. You've got Jin, who's stuck in this internal tug of war between being the noble samurai he was raised to be and becoming the ruthless ghost the island needs him to be. And now combat? Oh, it's slick. At first, you're all about that samurai code, challenging enemies to duels, pairing with precision, and feeling like a total badass. But then the game lets you get sneaky. You can sneak around, poison darts in hand, or just blow things up if you're feeling particularly fed up with the Mongols that day. It's all about letting you choose your path, which, yeah, may lead to a few moral dilemmas and some side eye from your samurai uncle, but who's keeping score? Now, some might say it leans a bit too much into the checklist formula, you know, clear the camp, follow the fox, collect the thing. Sure, it's got that, but there's something oddly satisfying about it here. Like, you're not just ticking off boxes, you're kind of zenning out in this gorgeous, wind-guided adventure. Plus, the director's cut on PS5 brings Iki Island, which adds a chunk of new story, more Mongols to stab, and some seriously stunning new locations. So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is a vibe. It's not perfect, but it's definitely one of those games that stays with you. You might find yourself casually humming the theme or wishing you could summon the wind to guide you in real life. If you're even slightly into samurai cinema or just love a game that lets you get lost in its world, this one's worth checking out. Black Myth Wukong. Alright, let's talk about Black Myth Wukong. This one's got everyone buzzing, and for a good reason. I mean, it came out of nowhere, and suddenly everyone's like, hold up, is this the Dark Souls of Journey to the West? And honestly, yeah, kinda, but with a lot more monkey business. You're stepping into the fur-covered shoes of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King himself. This dude is legendary in Chinese folklore with more tricks up his sleeve than a stage magician at a kid's party. And the game leans hard into that. From the early gameplay we've seen, you're doing all kinds of wild stuff, transforming into insects to sneak past enemies, whipping that magical staff around like you're trying to clean up a brawl, and just generally making everyone's life hell in a really flashy, over-the-top way. Graphically, this game is a chef's kiss. We're talking some of the most stunning visuals I've seen, the fur on Wukong's arm, unreal detail, the environments, out of this world. It's got this vibe like you're stepping straight into a mythical painting, but with more action and honestly, a lot more gore. But it's not just about looking pretty, the combat looks fierce. It's like a perfect blend of speed and precision, where you're reading enemy patterns, dodging and countering at the last second, and then slapping them back with some insane moves that only a Monkey King could pull off. And let's not even get started on the bosses. From what's been teased, these aren't your run-of-the-mill, hit him 3 times in the glowing weak spot kind of bosses. No, these are the types that make you rethink your life choices. They're big, brutal, and they don't mess around. One minute you're fighting some giant wolf demon, and the next you're squaring up against an army of soldiers who are not impressed with your monkey antics. It feels like a challenge where every fight is gonna have you on the edge of your seat, white-knuckling your controller. Returnal. Let's dive into Returnal. This one's a wild ride from start to finish, and if you're into games that make you rethink your life choices, then oh boy does this one deliver. So, you're Salim, an astronaut crash landing on this eerie, ever-changing alien planet called Atropos. And right off the bat, you're thrown into this time loop where dying isn't just a minor setback, it's like the whole game is built around this mechanic. You're going to die, a lot. And each time you do, you wake up right back at the start of your journey, but with new insights and a slightly different landscape to explore. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, but with more space monsters and less Bill Murray. The first thing that hits you about Returnal is its atmosphere. It's haunting and beautiful in a way that sticks with you. The alien world is just as deadly as it is mesmerizing, with biomes that shift and change, creating a sort of labyrinthine feeling where you're never quite sure what's around the corner. The PS5's hardware really makes this thing pop, with its quick load times and the DualSense controller making those alien sculptures and gunshots feel shockingly immersive. Now, the combat, oh man, it's frenetic and challenging, like they took every tough as nails roguelike you've ever played, threw in some bullet hell elements, and then wrapped it all up in a sci-fi setting. You're dodging, weaving, and shooting with a huge arsenal of weapons that you can mix and match to fit your playstyle. The weapons are cool, each with its own unique abilities, and they drop randomly, which keeps you on your toes. The story's a trip too. It's not just mindless action, there's a deep, existential element to it. As you progress, you unravel more about Celine's backstory and the planet's dark secrets. It's all about isolation, trauma, and the struggle to break free from an endless cycle. And the way it unfolds is both compelling and eerie. The lore of Atropos is twisted and intriguing, and it'll keep you guessing as you piece together the narrative through cryptic messages, haunting visions, and those wonderfully weird alien artifacts. But let's be real, Returnal isn't for everyone. The roguelike nature means you're constantly starting over, and that can be brutal. If you're not into that kind of grind, this game can feel more punishing than rewarding. And even if you are into it, the difficulty spikes can be a bit much sometimes. But if you're up for a challenge and don't mind a bit of repetition, the sense of accomplishment from finally making progress is pretty satisfying. So yeah, Returnal is intense, beautiful, and a bit maddening. It's one of those games where every victory feels hard-earned and every defeat makes you want to try again, if you're looking for something that'll push your limits and keep you coming back for more, give it a shot. Just be prepared to lose track of time and maybe your sanity as you dive into its twisted alien world. God of War Ragnarok. We all love to see Kratos beat the crap out of Norse gods, but imagine how awesome it would be to watch all this in high quality with full-on details and visuals. That's when PS5 comes in handy. You guys can have an ultimate experience while throwing your axe and smashing Odin's skull. The game gives you complete freedom over different combo attacks, which looks extremely satisfying as you combine everything and bring out the Ghost of Sparta. The name still gives me chills. It's just so cool to refer to Kratos as the OG Ghost of Sparta. We have seen Kratos through a lot of suffering and destruction. So seeing him acting as a responsible father and helping other people is just weirdly satisfying. Now, as great as the 2018's God of War was, Ragnarok is just something else. It's almost double the size of the previous title. You will get to see the complete ending of the Norse saga, and will also get a vague idea of the next part in the Valhalla DLC. If I'm being completely honest, then you must play this game if you're a fan of the series. There's no doubt in my mind that you're gonna love it because of all the updated visuals and graphics combined with great characters and cutscenes. Sure, for some players you could say that the game is more of a movie and less gameplay because of the dialogues and cutscenes. However, we can all agree that if you're looking for an engaging storyline that is jam-packed with action, combat, and blasting moves, then there's no better game than Ragnarok. This is where PS5 truly shines. Spider-Man 2. This is one of the best open-world Spider-Man games. Spider-Man 2 enhances everything, and the addition of Venom is just mind-blowing. Fans like me were waiting for a long time to see how Venom will look on PS5, and we finally got to see it. The game is packed with stunning visuals which will make you go crazy as every detail speaks for itself. The environment, the buildings, the sky, and the entire map is filled with interactive stuff. The open world environment is incredibly detailed. You can do so much besides just swinging your web, which in my opinion is another fan favorite feature. Things like stopping random crimes, helping citizens in distress, and even taking on side missions, all this makes the entire game an engaging experience. Now, if we talk about storyline, then it's pretty simple and picks up from where the last part left off. You see Peter and Miles grow, both as heroes and individuals, dealing with their personal lives and responsibilities. Loki, I'm really amazed to see that 2018's release brought back most of the OG villains, and this time, in Spider-Man 2, we got to see the Venom plus both Peter and Miles working together. Nevertheless, the game is remarkable in terms of storyline, visuals, web swinging, environment, cutscenes, and overall PS5 graphics. There are some fantastic boss battles as well that test your skills and keep you on the edge of your seat. Peter has his classic gadgets and brute strength, while Miles brings his bioelectric venom powers and invisibility into the mix. All of this combined makes the game a must-play for every Spider-Man fan.
Advice for you bad guys? I see everything. We'll get hit.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This is a game that I can play whenever I'm feeling down, and I know for sure that it'll light up my mood. Rift Apart is an absolute blast. It's one of those games that just nails the fun factor from start to finish. First off, the graphics are stunning. Playing on the PS5, the visuals are incredibly detailed and vibrant. The world feels alive with so much going on in the background. It's like playing a Pixar movie. One of the most amazing aspects is the gameplay. That's where the game truly shines. The mechanics are super tight, and the weapons, oh man, the weapons are a joy to use. Each one feels unique, and upgrading them is so satisfying. The new rift mechanic adds a fresh twist, letting you zip between different dimensions instantly. It keeps the action fast and fluid, and some of the set pieces are jaw-dropping.
Say goodbye! Hey! What did you do?
If I talk about the storyline, then it's pretty engaging too. Ratchet and Clank are as charming as ever, and the new character Rivet fits right in. The humor is on point, and there are some genuinely heartfelt moments. The narrative does a great job of making you care about the characters and their journey. In all honesty, this game is the most fun you can have from a fast-paced action game. All the jokes and humor combined with an all-out action makes every gamer go crazy. What I love most is the variety. One moment you're in an intense firefight, the next you're solving a clever puzzle, and then you're riding on the back of a giant creature through a stunning alien landscape. It never gets old. It's always awesome to see the characters making jokes and progressing further in the playthrough.
We're going to a dimension where I always win, so you can finally know how it feels.
Resident Evil Village. Before I say anything, know that this is definitely not my favorite Resident Evil game. The only reason I love this part is because of its graphics and the fact that it's another Resident Evil installment. Also, how can I forget about Lady Dimitrescu for all the good stuff? I believe that only a handful of Resident Evil games are the best, such as the fourth part, the second, and Biohazard as well. Resident Village is something you can say will be a nice choice to play if you have completed all the previous titles and if only you just want to experience the graphics. Not gonna lie, there's a really good content in the game which won't make you feel bored and will keep on pushing you to the limits. I think one of the best factors are the multiple main villains. Unlike some previous titles, you don't just have a single main villain to defeat like Tyrant or Nemesis. This time you've got a lot more villains like the Lady and Mother Miranda. I'm just saying that the developers have added a lot more and focused more on survival compared to the OG Resident Evil 4. You could say that the village is what the Resident Evil games are about, with a touch of high-end graphics and textures.
Child? Hey, wait. Do you mean Rose? Is she here?
Rose! Rose! Yes. She is in great danger.
The game looks really impressive on the PS5. Every detail and image screams for itself, saying as if it's been cracked up a notch for an enhanced graphical purpose. The scenery and the soundtrack feel immersive. Also, the voice acting of Lady Dimitrescu is another additional feature that takes the overall game to the next level. Nevertheless, the best thing about Resident Village is that you can easily dive into it and have an all-out blast without playing the previous parts. The game is a sort of brand new story experience.
Ethan, go! Save your daughter!
Elena, don't give up! Reach for me!
Horizon Forbidden West. How can we forget the series that made its name among some of the other fan-favorite open-world RPG games? Horizon is a series that you are either gonna hate or absolutely love it. The game is an example of how you can make RPG with a good storyline combined with machines. Not gonna lie, I didn't like the game at first because of the whole robotic stuff. I just felt as though RPGs are mostly about dragons, monsters, medieval stuff, hence it kind of felt off to see sci-fi machines, but hey, the developers really nailed it and gave us an engaging game.
Gotta keep moving.
Bring us around! Take it close!
Now, I know that different players have different opinions about the game. I believe that the graphics and animations are definitely a major upgrade from Zero Dawn. You could say that if someone wants to enjoy enhanced graphics, then the best pick would be Forbidden West. On the other hand, if you guys want to experience a good story and a great character along with diversified open world, then Zero Dawn will be a nice choice. Both games are perfect in their own way, but in this video we are talking about some of the best PS5 games, therefore Forbidden West is the only suited selection. I would recommend not skipping out on this one, or if you haven't played the original, then do complete it before getting your hands on the sequel.
More machines on their way. Get to safety. I'll handle the rest.
Honestly, I think that there are a lot of amazing games releasing every year. So it's no doubt that there must be something great about the Horizon series that made it popular. Not every RPG game gets its mention in the top 10 lists about graphics, story, and role-playing. Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is hands down my favorite Final Fantasy game. The only reason I even started playing the series is because of Cloud, Noctis, and Tifa. I don't know why, but for some reason I always loved Cloud's hair and his overall look, plus Noctis also looks awesome. So I just had to see what the game was about. The developers gave us a great surprise remaking the fan favorite 7th part, which to be honest didn't disappoint and definitely gave us a great experience. I know that some of you are going to argue that Rebirth is better, but I just think that the OG part is kind of more entertaining. The nostalgia you get just by playing as Cloud Strife again is simply amazing, plus you also get to see those awesome cutscenes on modern consoles.
Tifa and I...
There's no doubt that Rebirth is somewhat better in terms of graphics, but for some reason I just love the first part. For me, the only good reason to play Rebirth is Sephiroth, and to see the complete ending of Final Fantasy VII. Nevertheless, the game is definitely a great choice, and is loaded with exploration, boss battles, turn-based combat, and dialogues. The combat and the environment are two of my favorite things. I just love to explore and see different places or find certain items for quest completion. Even the thought of fighting with those crazy bosses on PS5 is mind-blowing. Everything looks stunning with all the flashy attacks and combo moves. The journey is also a great factor and gets us hooked as we feel like a part of the team, and seeing each character playing a vital role is quite satisfactory.
I'm damn good at it!
Demon's Souls. As much as I love Souls game, I'm really sad that I'm mentioning Demon's Souls. Don't get me wrong, the game is super amazing, but it's the fact that Dark Souls series is not getting a remake on PS5 is making me sad. Dark Souls is much better than Demon's Souls, so I just feel as though it'll be a huge upgrade to make a remake for the PS5. Anyhow, Demon's Souls is definitely a good pick, but it's considered the worst Souls game. I'm not criticizing anything, just stating the facts. It's just that out of all the major Souls games, fans don't like Demon's Souls as much as they do Elden Ring, Sekiro, or Dark Souls.
Had roused the Old One, the great beast below the Nexus, from its eternal slumber, and that a colorless fog had swept in, unleashing terrible demons.
However, I can confidently say that the game is a masterpiece that shaped the Souls genre. I mean, we all know that Dark Souls is what you can call the birth of the Souls genre's popularity. However, Demon's Souls was released before Dark Souls, hence the game sort of gave inspiration to what we call today, Dark Souls. Now, the developers have made a great decision to remake the game for PS5. This way players will be able to enjoy the good old Souls mechanics in updated graphics. Nevertheless, if you're someone who wants to dive into the original Souls content, but are finding hard to deal with the outdated textures, then Demon's Souls will be your best choice, as you can play the game on PlayStation 5, which will enhance your overall gameplay. Surely, with games like Elden Ring and Lies of P, we are progressing in the Souls genre, but it's just so good to see that the old games are getting remakes, so people don't forget their legacy. Kena Bridge of Spirits. I have talked about this game countless times on this channel. If I'm being honest, then I never would have thought that I would be mentioning a double a game multiple times. However, all my opinions shattered as I find Kena to be extremely beautiful. The game is an example of how well small gaming studios can do with a low budget. These days when games are filled with microtransactions and other stuff, it's such a nice feeling to enjoy some decent gaming and just let yourself loose in the stunning visuals and soundtracks. Some gamers might skip out on this game for silly reasons, which I think is kind of weird, as Kena showcases some quality visuals and a colorful environment.
I know what that is. It's a forest here. Whoa, look what happened to the rod. He's so cute. Look at him go. Does he know any tricks, Kena?
The game has everything in it. There's a balanced amount of action combat, stunning visuals, seamless cutscenes, engaging storyline, and a loving main character. I believe that everything fits perfectly, making the entire game a balanced experience. If I talk a little bit of the gameplay or storyline, then you're basically a little girl exploring a forest and helping the spirits. That's it. This is kind of the easiest explanation of the plot.
I can see that. You both look very strong. Do you know who that spirit was with the horned mask?
We don't know, but when he shows up, the girl's poison grows stronger.
You're on a journey to explore and see different parts of the map while battling the creatures or monsters, ultimately helping the spirits. Not gonna lie, it's a great game and definitely worthy of playing if you want to a break from hardcore action stuff and want some peaceful, gorgeous gameplay. And the fact that it's available on PS5 is what makes Kena an amazing game, because of the enhanced visuals and graphics. Steller Blade. One of the finest games of 2024. Before I start talking, I know that Steller Blade is not for everyone. A lot of players are getting mad at this game because of all the steamy stuff for the bodysuit, but you have to understand that there's nothing wrong, and there's also a good number of players who love to play this game. Honestly, I believe that it's such a nice decision to bring back this kind of gaming. It's such a fresh experience to enjoy some good old Bayonetta kind of gameplay. Sure, the only convincing thing I could say is that if it's not your jam, then don't play it, but make sure not to criticize anything, because the OG gamers who are a fan of games like Bayonetta will surely appreciate Steller Blade. Now, it's not just the bodysuit, the game has a lot of great content plus a good storyline. Also, we can never forget the fast-paced hack-and/combat. It's so thrilling to see the main character slashing enemies right and left, all while wearing a tight suit. If we just put aside the factor of outfits, then we can all appreciate the visuals and the combat. Steller Blade looks extremely amazing on PS5. Every cutscene showcases how far we have come in gaming and how great PS5 is in terms of overall visuals and graphics. The only reason that you should play this game is to see how great it looks on PlayStation 5. You will be shocked to see how engaging it feels, and you will never leave your couch. There are also two big reasons which will compel you to play Steller Blade. The first is, if you are a huge fan of hack-and/combat, then you must give it a shot, as it feels really nice to cut through enemies. The second is the obvious Bayonetta-style character outfits. The Last of Us Remake. If we talk about how awesome The Last of Us Remake looks like on the PS5, then I gotta hand it to Naughty Dog for giving such stunning experience. The pacing and bonding feel incredible. I was so overjoyed to see both Ellie and Joel surviving through different environments while helping each other. It's not always that you expect such a storyline from a zombie apocalypse game, but The Last of Us nailed it in every aspect. From start to finish, you will see both characters sharing the journey and the growing side by side. Nevertheless, Last of Us is a series that is a must-play if you love experiencing story-focused games. There's never a dull moment as you are always moving forward and seeing new things. One of my favorite aspects is how the game provides you with several different weapons while giving you a survival feeling. So, unlike some other games, you are not overpowered and must stay cautious while upgrading yourself. My final thoughts on this game would be that it's one of the best experiences if you want to see some nice moments, dive into a journey across multiple environments, or want to immerse yourself in a perfectly paced storyline. Cyberpunk 2077. Who can forget about the definition of immersive futuristic title? Cyberpunk is a game that will forever be talked about as a major step up in open world games. For the love of God, the game is a masterpiece. I know that a lot of bad stuff happened at the release with all the issues, bugs, glitches. However, if we can forget about everything, then in 2024 everything is properly fixed, and the game is almost good as new. The current Cyberpunk, after all the updates and patches, is nothing like what you saw at the release. The game is filled with neon buildings, robotic NPCs with sci-fi gadgets or modifications, a highly interactive open world where you can do so much more than just simply completing the main missions. Every area in this game is filled with lights giving you an idea of what the future could be like. I mean, we all know about Cyberpunk. There's hardly any player who has no idea about this game. Sure, there are players who have never played the game, but I'm sure that everyone has heard about it. Therefore, if you love open world games combined with a good storyline and a lot of action, then there's no better time to play Cyberpunk. There's in fact an anime about this which indicates how popular the game is. Obviously, it's without a doubt that fans who love to explore sci-fi open worlds will find this game fascinating as there's a lot to discover and interact with. You can easily spend over 100 hours in this game and will still miss something. This proves that the developers went all out and provided as much content as they could for the players. Before I reveal my final pick, here are some honorable mentions. The first game we have is Returnal. This is one of those sci-fi games that look too good to be true on PS5. Returnal is yet another example of how roguelike game can give you an immersive feeling packed with action and shooting. Sure, there's a great storyline, but in these kind of games, my favorite thing to do is to just go out and blast the enemies. I love how thrilling it feels to smash enemy skulls with a variety of weapons. The best feature that I think made Returnal such a huge deal is the content. The game never lets you feel that what's coming up, it always smacks you with something new. If you clear the first boss in your first try, then it's likely that the second one is going to take over 3 hours. Returnal is just a weirdly satisfying experience that has the potential to make you feel like you are in sync with the game's environment and graphics. The next bonus game is Gran Turismo 7. I think we all know what this game is about. I mean, pretty much everyone who owns a PlayStation knows what this game is. There's nothing major here, the game is all about cars and racing. That's the easiest explanation, it's just my own opinion, but if you're not into racing then definitely don't dive in. Except for that, if this is your jam then without a doubt just go for it. Gran Turismo is one of the best car racing games. There's a lot of advanced stuff than just simply choosing your car. There's in fact a movie about this, which is something you must watch if you love racing. We can all have our favorite racing games, but it's for sure that Gran Turismo is something that most players really love playing. Now, another game is Deathloop. Honestly, I loved it when I first saw this game. Both the name and trailer looked captivating. Low-key, every time I see Deathloop, I can't help but remember Deadshot from Suicide Squad. Anyways, as you can see, the game is mostly about first-person shooting. The game was sort of mediocre, and even though it's produced by Bethesda, a lot of players didn't like the game for various reasons. However, the only thing that you need to know is that Deathloop becomes so much better in the middle portion when you get all those powers and weapons. That's when everything starts to feel thrilling and exciting. Though, if you're looking for some underrated FPS fun, then Deathloop is right up your alley. Now, the last bonus game is none other than the pinnacle of FPS games, Doom Eternal. I guess some of you might argue with me, but I believe that Doom series is surely one of the finest FPS games. The excitement you get after smashing skulls and blasting monsters is on a whole other level. The game literally gives you complete freedom, and your only goal is to shoot whoever comes in your way. And the fast-paced shooting and rhythmic beats or soundtracks enhances the experience, resulting in having an insane blast. This is one of those games that you can dive into if you just want to have some fun and don't want to focus too much on the storyline. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Alright, let's talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, one of the best games you can play on your PS5 right now. If you're a Star Wars fan, this game is like a dream come true. It picks up the story of Cal Kestis, a young Jedi trying to survive after Order 66 has wiped out most of his kind. It's got everything you'd want in a Star Wars game: epic lightsaber battles, deep lore, and a whole galaxy to explore. You play as Cal, who's still on the run from the Empire. The story is super engaging, filled with twists, and yeah, it really pulls you into the Star Wars universe. You'll meet all sorts of interesting characters, from mysterious new allies to deadly Inquisitors who are hunting you down. The voice acting and character development are top-notch, making you feel really connected to Cal and his journey. The combat in Jedi Survivor is like totally awesome. It's all about using your lightsaber and force powers in these fluid, dynamic fights. You've got to think strategically, parrying enemy attacks, using your abilities to control the battlefield, and taking down some pretty tough foes. It's challenging, but super satisfying when you nail those perfect combos and take down a big boss. The game looks stunning on the PS5. The graphics are like out of this world, with detailed environments that make you feel like you're really there. You'll visit different planets, each with its own unique look and feel. Exploration is a big part of the game too. You can roam around these beautifully crafted worlds, finding secrets, solving puzzles, and upgrading your gear and abilities. It's got that classic Metroidvania feel, where you unlock new powers that let you reach previously inaccessible areas. It's super rewarding to go back and find all the hidden stuff you missed the first time around. So, if you're looking for one of the best PS5 games to play right now, Star Wars Jedi Survivor should be at the top of your list. It's got a gripping story, awesome combat, and like some of the best visuals you'll see on the PS5. Jump into Cal's adventure and see if you've got what it takes to survive in the Star Wars galaxy.
You feel this? I will not fear to you.